Welcome to out-of-order events. The core problem is that a system can look correct in a clean sequential test and still fail when timing changes. We are going to trace how delivery order, processing order, and business order diverge, then use the invariant to decide what the design must actually protect. Now that we have the premise, the first pressure point is simple. Delivery order is not logical order, and a happy path test hides that mismatch.
So the code can look fine because the test never creates the timing gap.
Exactly. Once you add fast workers, late arrivals, or stale writes, the apparent correctness disappears and the invariant has to survive real concurrency. A queue is not always a true line. You can send A and then B, yet B may be consumed first if a worker is available sooner.
So the queue order is not the same thing as the order the system should trust.
Right. That means we cannot rely on first-in, first-out behavior unless the system explicitly guarantees it. The design has to be built around the real invariant instead. That failure sets up a subtler one. Two events are published in order, but the later event finishes first because a faster worker wins the race.
Why does that matter if both events were sent correctly?
Because completion order is not send order. If the workflow depends on the earlier event being established first, then a faster consumer can create the wrong state even when the producer did everything right. So the hidden assumption is worth naming directly. First sent does not mean first handled does not mean committed, and committed does not mean acknowledged.
Then what actually ties the events together?
Causality does, not clock time. If the design does not make that distinction explicit, the sequential test passes while the asynchronous system still fails. An asynchronous boundary is where work leaves the current thread, transaction, or process and continues later somewhere else. That is, the point where timing uncertainty enters the design.
Is the boundary itself the bug?
Not the bug, but the pressure point. Once work crosses that boundary, you need controls that survive delay, retry, and reordering instead of assuming immediate execution. Now the failure becomes concrete. A late event can push the system backward and overwrite newer state.
So the invariant is that newer valid state should not be replaced by stale information?
Exactly. If that invariant is not protected, an approved and published workflow can be dragged back to an earlier state by an outdated update. That is why the failure is uncomfortable. The system can report stale results even though the earlier steps really happened.
How would I even notice that from the logs?
Only if the logs carry identifiers and timestamps strongly enough to reconstruct the sequence. Otherwise, the regression looks like a vague workflow glitch instead of a violated invariant. So the first move in a correction is not to pick a tool. It is to name the invariant, then choose the control that protects it.
What kinds of controls are we really considering?
Guarded transitions, retry safe handling, and evidence that captures what happened. Each one protects correctness in a different way, and each one introduces a different cost. A guarded transition refuses to accept every event blindly. It claims the right to act, checks validity, and only then applies the change.
Isn't that just adding a lock around the state?
Not quite. A lock controls concurrency. A guard protects the invariant. The point is to reject stale events instead of letting them regress the workflow. When retries or duplicate delivery are possible, idempotency is the safer response. The worker checks a deduplication store before applying the side effect.
So the system is deciding whether this event is new or already handled.
Yes, and that is what protects the external action from happening twice. The trade-off is extra storage and more handler logic, but queues and retries usually make that cost worth paying. Now we need evidence, because a claim without reconstruction is just a guess. You want correlated logs, delivery IDs, trace data, and a way to replay the order of events.
What would count as enough evidence for a review?
Enough to show why the failure occurred or why the fix is valid. The event identity, the state transition, the timing, and the before and after behavior. So the comparison is not between good and bad ideas, it is between different costs and different protections.
Which one should I choose first?
Choose the smallest control that protects the property you care about. Baseline is easy but hides timing. Guarded state protects the invariant. Idempotency helps with retries. Observability strengthens the evidence. That turns into a practical workflow. Write the invariant, build one normal test, then build one failure test that creates the pressure.
And the evidence comes from comparing those runs?
Exactly. Add operation IDs, capture before and after behavior, and update the integrity packet so the assumption, failure, fix, and remaining risk are all explicit. This is where the lecture connects directly to A3. You need to show the workflow in your own domain, reproduce the failure, defend the correction, and tie the result to the evidence in your submission.
What should I be ready to explain in an oral defense?
What breaks first, what control you chose, what trade-off it introduces, and how the evidence supports the conclusion. Let's close with the design question that matters. In your own system, what breaks first, ordering, state, or evidence?
And if I pick one control, I should also name the new risk it creates.
Exactly. If you can defend both the protection and the trade-off, then you are ready for an interview, a review, or the integrity packet.